Tate from Elitefts, back with another edition of Table Talk. The question today is what is the greatest thing someone has ever told me, and can I elaborate on why it means so much to me? Over the years, there's been many different people that have influenced and helped, motivated, inspired, and helped with creativity, you name it, just in any way whatsoever. So it's hard to really kind of distinguish one really main moment, but there have been several moments that I would consider defining moments, and the one that popped into my head immediately after I saw this question was during my college years. A little background getting into how this statement becomes significant is throughout my childhood education, I was basically tracked as one of the kids that was just, basically the main goal was just to graduate the kid, just get him out of school. But the educational intellect wasn't there, learning disabilities, LD and multiple other definitions and diagnoses that were, passed my way throughout those years, influenced how I thought about myself and my ability to learn. So I guess to put it bluntly, throughout those years I grew up feeling stupid and that I didn't have the ability to learn the same as others. So I settled for what I felt was my best, which was C and D level grades, many times lower than that. So I was fortunate, so to say, to graduate from high school. And from that point, when I tried to enroll into different universities, it was a difficult challenge because I didn't have the grades to get in to pretty much anywhere. So I ended up going to the University of Tiffin under the agreement that I would take remedial courses, which were basically just courses that I should have taken when I was in high school, such as biology, algebra, things of that sort. All those courses when I was in high school I didn't take. I took, rock science and business math and anything that followed down that certain track. So getting through the University of Tiffin wasn't that hard of a challenge. I mean, it was awakening to a certain degree because I did begin to realize that I could learn a lot of the material. It was smaller class settings, and so it was easier to comprehend and understand. It was at a slower pace. So once I got through a year there and was able to pull my grades up to a point which were acceptable to get into a bigger university, I transferred to Bowling Green State University, which was a good semester for me until I flunked out there, and all that stuff from childhood kind of came back that maybe this wasn't the route for me, maybe it wasn't the track that I was supposed to be on, maybe I was meant to do something different. Education and learning wasn't so much my thing. So while I was at Bowling Green, I did find something called a library, which was pretty cool. And during that time, I found access to the NSCA journal. Michael Yesse's had a journal on Soviet sport training and fitness, and the International Journal of Sport Nutrition, and a lot of other training related materials. And I would spend hours and hours in the library reading this stuff. because training has been a passion since I was 13 years old. Now I found what I thought was, you know, the end of the race. I found the pot of gold, you know, so I spent all my time just devouring this information, trying to figure out how I could acquire this information to compile, you know, the best training cycle for the next meet that I had coming up, or whatever training objectives I had at that certain time. So when I came home after being asked to remove myself from the university for a period of time, I remember having a conversation with one of my ex-coaches in regards to, he asked me how school was going. So I kind of dodged the question and began speaking about training, because we did train together a little bit. And he was very into training, very into strength training, so we had a common bond with that. Always had a common bond with that, even when I was in high school. And he fell back again onto, you know, how school was going, and I proceeded to tell him that, you know, I flunked out, and maybe that's not the thing for me. And throughout the course of this conversation, I proceeded to tell him all the acquired information that I gathered in regards to strength training, nutrition, training cycles, periodization, how it could all be used to build a bigger bench, squat, deadlift, and everything that I was really interested in. And it was shortly after, you know, I finished speaking to him about that he, you know, looked me straight in the eye, and he basically came straight out and said, "Dave, you're not stupid, you're lazy." And that had an effect on me. You know, it had a profound effect on me. And I spent the next couple hours driving around thinking about that. You know, and I still think back to that day now. And realized at that point that while I may have some delays, some disabilities, dyslexia, and some other things of that sort, all it means is that I got to work harder, and it's going to take longer. And I realized that day that that's the difference, you know, is that I wasn't stupid, that I had to just work harder, I had to commit more, I had to be more disciplined, I had to not let anybody study more, work harder than I did, and that I was ultimately responsible for the results that came from that. And that while everybody else was out partying or doing whatever they were going to do, you know, I was either training or studying, and that's all I did. And because of that, I did end up graduating with a very high grade point. And to this day, I still understand that, you know, things are going to take longer. I'm going to face more adversity than most other people will. That's just kind of the nature of the beast, and that's how it rolls. But that probably was one of the most profound statements that was ever told to me, that has a lasting effect and will have a lasting effect for me for the rest of my life. And it's